All right, today we're going to talk about something really ambitious. What if you could rewire the entire global financial system? We're diving into the Stellar Network, a technology that has a simple but powerful promise to make moving money feel just like sending an email. But first, let's start with a question we can all probably relate to. Have you ever tried to send money to another country? It's kind of a nightmare, right? It feels like our money is stuck in the dark ages. We're talking about waiting for days, getting hit with surprise fees. It's just wild that in a world of instant everything, our money still travels at a snail's pace.
And I mean, just look at the difference here. On the left, that's the old way, a messy web of banks, each one slowing things down and taking a piece of the pie. But on the right, that's the Stellar way, a single network, 3 to 5 seconds, not days. And the cost? A tiny, tiny fraction of a penny. This isn't just a small step up, it's a completely different ballgame.
So how in the world does Stellar actually do this? Well, the first thing you have to understand is that Stellar isn't just another cryptocurrency you speculate on. It's more like a brand new set of pipes for the world's money, built from the ground up to fix these very specific problems.
Yeah, way back in 2014, the mission was super clear. Let's just bypass the old, slow, and expensive banking system that's been around forever. The idea was to build one single network where any kind of money, whether it's dollars, euros, you name it, could just flow freely and be available to literally anyone with an internet connection.
Okay, so that's the goal. But how does it achieve that incredible speed? Especially, and this is a big one, without using the insane amount of energy that networks like Bitcoin do. Well, the secret sauce is in its unique engine for reaching agreement. This right here is the magic. It's a system called Federated Byzantine Agreement. Now, instead of that classic crypto model of computers all over the world competing to solve a math problem, Stellar does something way more efficient. Each computer or node on the network just picks a small group of other nodes that it trusts. And because these little circles of trust overlap, they create this incredibly strong, decentralized web of trust that can verify transactions securely and in a flash.
The whole process is basically just a super fast two-step vote. First, in what's called the nomination phase, the nodes all kind of propose and vote on a set of transactions. Then it quickly moves to a more formal balloting phase that just locks everything in place. It's clean, it's efficient, and it means the entire network agrees on something permanently in just a couple of seconds.
And the results really do speak for themselves. You get final settlement in 3 to 5 seconds. The transaction fees are paid in the network's own asset, lumens or XLM, and they are so small they're almost zero. Seriously, it's like 100,000th of a single lumen. And, maybe most importantly, the whole network is stewarded by a nonprofit foundation alongside a whole bunch of independent validators.
Okay, so a super fast digital network is cool, but it's not very useful if you can't connect it to the actual money that we all use every single day. So how does Stellar build that bridge between its network and, real dollars and euros?
The answer is a really important concept called an anchor. You should think of anchors as the on-ramps and off-ramps for the network. They're regulated businesses, could be a bank, could be a fintech, that take your traditional money and then issue a fully backed, one-to-one digital version of it on the Stellar network.
And the great thing is, these anchors do all the heavy lifting. They're the ones who handle the regulations, the know your customer rules, and connecting to local bank accounts. And they do it with a really clever built-in feature called trust lines. It basically means that you, the user, have to actively choose to trust an anchor before you can hold their digital dollars. It's an opt-in system, and that little feature is something big institutions really like. So let's recap. We've got a lightning-fast network. We've got digital versions of real money living on it. So what can you actually do with that? Well, this is where things get really cool.
I want to talk about what is basically Stellar's native superpower. It's called Path Payments. This lets you send one currency and have it magically arrive as a completely different currency on the other side of the world, all in one single seamless transaction. It's atomic, which just means it either all happens perfectly at once or it doesn't happen at all. No risk.
Let me just walk you through it. So imagine you send euros from somewhere in Europe. Under the hood, the Stellar network itself hunts for the absolute cheapest way to turn those euros into, say, Nigerian naira. It might swap euros for lumens, then lumens for naira, using its own built-in marketplace. But you don't see any of that complexity. You just hit send on your euros, and 5 seconds later, your friend in Nigeria gets naira in their account. That's it.
And the network is not standing still, it's getting even more powerful. In 2024, a major upgrade called Soraband brought smart contracts to Stellar. Along with another change, it introduced parallel processing.
The best way to think about this is like a supermarket. Instead of one long, slow checkout line, they just open a whole bunch of express lanes. The network can now process way more transactions at the exact same time, which is a huge boost to its overall capacity.
So you might be asking, is this all just theory, or are people actually using this? Well, how about this number? Over $580 million. That's the value of assets in a U.S. government money fund from Franklin Templeton that uses Stellar as its system of record. That is a massive vote of confidence from one of the biggest players in traditional finance.
But it's not just about high finance. The real-world impact gets even more powerful. Look at this. The UN Refugee Agency is using Stellar to deliver aid in the form of digital dollars directly to people in crisis zones. They get the funds on their phone and can walk into a MoneyGram and get cash in their hands. When traditional banking systems break down, this becomes a literal lifeline.
So that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. What's next? They've pretty much solved for speed, cost, and access. So now, Stellar is taking on what is maybe the biggest challenge for every public blockchain out there: privacy.
The next huge upgrade is all about something called zero-knowledge proofs. Now, this isn't about making everything anonymous and secret. It's about configurable privacy. Think of it like this. You can prove you're old enough to get into a bar without showing the bouncer your exact date of birth or your home address. This tech lets you prove something is true, like, yes, I have enough funds for this payment, without revealing all the private details on a public ledger. And for regulated companies, that's not a nice to have. It's a game changer.
And so, that leaves us with this one big question to think about. For the last few decades, the internet has allowed information to flow instantly, freely around the globe. Stellar's whole mission is to do the exact same thing for value, for money. So what happens when sending $1 to anyone, anywhere in the world, finally becomes as easy as sending a text? What does that unlock?